So today we'll discuss circularly polarized metametal antennas, uh, particularly what analysis we performed and our new ideas or what we developed. Okay, we'll try to understand from this. So first of all, uh, for the participants, I would like to introduce my research group at IIT ISM Dhanbad. So apart from metametal CP antennas, okay, and the DRA, we are presently engaged with MIMO and cognitive radio and radio systems and with multifunctional filters. We are also working in frequency reconfigurable active array antennas with beam steering and different uh, different surfaces like metametal surface, artificial magnetic conductor, that how to improve the antenna's properties and other things. Correct. So we are also developing here absorbers, particularly wideband absorbers. Okay, these are very thin absorbers, and the lab is actually sponsored by many sponsored agency like DRDO, ISRO, SERB, Analog Devices, TCube Second, and my institution as well. So five PhD, this things, six PhD already graduated from the lab, and full time five PhD students are with me. Okay. So this is the presentation outline. Correct. So we'll start from the motivation. It is very important that why we are doing this subject. Then we'll see that what are the electromagnetic metamaterial transmission line approach particularly. I'm doing the transmission line approach here. Correct. And finally, we'll see here the CRLS transmission line, some properties like a very important properties you might be heard about, which is a zeroth order resonance. Correct. So by this, actually, this property is used in many of work to reduce the size of the antennas. We will also see the fundamental limits of the antenna, how far we can go for the miniaturization. Correct. And as a topic suggests, because I have to tell about here the circular polarization, okay, in metamaterials or CRLS based antennas. Okay, so we'll try to see that how we integrated these two properties, because in very small structure it is difficult to get the CP properties. And the other challenge is like if you have the CP property, correct, so your gain will be drastically down. So how we accommodated to balance those numbers, I will tell you these things. And what we developed at IIT ISM Dhanbad, I'll show you finally. Okay. So the very first thing is motivation, actually. Correct. Why this subject is important and why we are doing here. Okay. And why should opt these things. The reason is that actually there are two reasons. Okay. One is first, we are preferring over this bulky instruments, bulky devices over the handheld system. Like everyone wants to do each and everything over the mobile, iPad, okay, or tablets. It's very easy to handle and these things, correct? So, like these handheld devices really actually change our life. Second thing is that connectivity and other issues and high speed. Okay, so that is a different business, but this is also very important when we are reducing the size of the antennas. Okay, because antenna is one of the very complicated part, okay, of any handheld system. Like most of you using right now the 4G mobile system, correct? So you will see that this is based on the LTE, actually MIMO antennas. And presently, if you see, so there will be two antennas are there. One is a horizontal ply, other is a vertical ply. So you are not going to miss any information due to this two polarization system. Let's say if you have the CP system, it will be really very great. Okay, because at a single antenna you can do these two different jobs. Correct. Second thing is like we are hearing about the 5G system and other future system. So these things, speed and other things are also matters. Correct, and connectivity. So for that we are not going to actually compromise the antenna parameters like gain, bandwidth, okay, radiation efficiency, and other thing. So how to preserve these things, how to maintain within the industrial requirement, we need to also talk about these things. Correct. So small, compact, as well as efficient. These three things are required. Correct. So let us try to understand first basic radiator actually. So many of us are working in domain of antennas, and when I say the lambda by 2 antenna, so it is very clear actually, radiation pattern, gain, and other things. And you can see on the screen this lambda by 2 antenna, like unidirectional radiation pattern. Correct. Later on it was replaced with a lambda by 4 antenna consisting of a concept of infinite ground plane. Okay, so that you have the similar image down the ground, and this is serving the same purpose. Correct. So in this way, okay, the miniaturization actually was started. Correct, you can say as. Now you can see this picture actually, this mobile. It's very old one, and antenna on the top of this. Here you can see spiral kind of antennas are there. Correct. So basically, this is the reason of this spiral actually, because when we are using this GSM band and other things, correct, we are losing the signal. The reason is quite clear, because this fading issues and these things, obstacles are there. So so later actually this mobile companies introduces the CP antenna, but the thing is the CP antennas are very bulky and it has to be put it on the top of the this mobile. The gain issues are also there. Correct, when we are doing the CP actually, because it is going to be divided. So this is another challenge actually. Okay, so now the thing is like in 4G system, the things are antenna systems are replaced with the MIMO antenna, and we are controlling these fading issues and obstacles actually, because now you have the number of antennas you are sending and receiving with the different elements. So in this way you are increasing the probability of the signal so that it could be reached, okay, safely. Okay, so that you have a very less loss of connections this time. Earlier, if you remember, in 3G and 2G system, the loss of connection and connectivity issues are there. Correct. So this is managed through the CP antennas. Okay, but still a lot of limitations are there, as I told you. Correct. So this is one thing. Now one research gap is there, like if you can do with the MIMO and the CP, it would be a really a great thing. So in this way you can use the single antennas. Now with the metamaterial or CRLH particularly, I should say the CRLH. Okay, so this concept actually we utilized and we miniaturized the system. Correct. So the next is motivation and methodology. Amit, can you please confirm, am I audible properly?
Sir, you are
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Some electricity issues is there. Okay. Please let me know, okay, anytime, because heavy rain is there. Okay. So
Okay, sir.
yeah, please call me if you see any disturbances there. Okay.
Okay.
So the next is the motivation and the methodology. Okay. So now we try to combine whatever I told actually. Okay. So like as I told these things, that this is two antenna system we require, the LTE H polarized and Y polarized. we have different antennas as well, correct? And similarly for your iPad or this laptop systems, correct? So basically, what are the challenges, okay, for the antenna engineers? Please have a look. One is that we have to fit these antenna system in a very compact space, okay. Second thing is that it should have actually the circular polarization, okay. Second is the isolation from the surroundings. When we are putting inside the mobile or any handheld system, it is really difficult actually to isolate with the other components as well. So we need to take care. We need to take care actually this isolation parameter as well. Another thing is a multifunctional in a single antennas. Okay, like if I say this 5 antenna, if I ask you to develop the single antenna with 5 band and each having the circular polarization, it will be a very best thing actually for the mobile system. And finally, how to make it compatible with the modern technology like MIMO, cognitive radios, and all the things. Because this 5G and 6G, these things are coming, and like 5G is okay, like 6 gigahertz, sub 6 gigahertz is okay because it is very close to the 4G frequencies. But when you move ahead, okay, at the millimeter wave and other things, so we need to take care about these parameters. Very challenging at that frequency. Now let us talk about some IEEE services, okay, with the different bands. So we have different bands, okay. Many of you know, like GPS for location-based services, WLAN we are using actually, okay. 2G and 3G we already used. Now we are using 4G. These are the bands actually. So you should remember these things because when you are designing, it should be a proper application. And one is the ISM band, which is a industrial, scientific, and medical band. Okay, they're license free, so you can develop this in like your microwave ovens. Okay, so this is at the ISM frequency. Okay. Now, we are talking about here the metamaterial antenna. So it is one thing is that why we are using this thing. So surely we want to reduce the size of the antenna, correct? And it should be the electrically small. Okay. So like the thing is, very first thing is that there is a trade-off actually among size, bandwidth, and frequency operation. Correct? We all know. And it is not like that we can arbitrarily making the antenna small. Correct? There are certain limits actually, and it is already explained by different research groups and scientists. And mainly, if you see the Wheeler, Chu, and McLean, they given some limits. Okay. So the thing is like this is the recent one. The McLean is given by like a condition for electrically small is Ka. K is a propagation constant, and A is a maximum dimension or radius. You can say that radius. If you make a sphere, okay, which consists of your proposed antenna, so that is A actually. It should be less than 1. Now the definition is divided. This should be 0.5. Correct. So like this is valid for the quality factor less than 2. So by which actually we can find it out, okay, that how much bandwidth or how much the quality factor we can get, okay, depending upon the size of the antenna. Fine. So like we all know that aperture size and the gains are proportional. Okay, if we are making a very small antenna, we are losing the gain property. Correct. So now the thing is, from here one can verify these things, this fact that how far we can go. It is not like that a point source. Okay. Now, theoretically, we may consider the point source. Okay, which may radiate. Surely it may radiate, but there are certain limitations actually, and maybe with this limitation, maybe we cannot run the required application. Correct. So we need to think about. Now here the thing is like if I compare the conventional microstrip patch antenna and the CRX antenna, so we all know the design parameters, okay, that how we can develop, how we can design these patch antenna. So ready-made formulas are available, okay, but the calculators are also there, on web. Immediately you can design, and even you can guess actually the initial dimension. Later on you can go over the HFS and CST or any computational method. You can optimize your results. Okay, so like here you can see some of let me find the pointer, just a minute. So here we have these things, width and length. Okay, we can find it out, and effective parameter. And let's say we want to develop an antenna for the GPS application, location based services. So surely 1.5 gigahertz is suitable one. So like if you go with the plain patch antenna, okay, and considering the substrate microwave laminates, okay, as a Roger RT-Doroid 2.2, let's say, correct, and thickness of 1.5. Using these formulas, we can get actually the patch dimensions as 79 by 67, okay, mm square. Fine. And if you see the overall size, which is 100 by 100 actually. Fine. So like here, if you see, this is 0.5 cross 0.5. If you see the electrical length, which is the antenna footprint, and if you see the patch or radiating element, this is 0.33 to 0.39 lambda naught square. So physical area, if you see, this is 100 centimeters square here. Okay. Whereas if you see the gain, bandwidth is 1.33 and the gain is 2.42. Radiation efficiency is really very good. Now, on the other hand, like we are in the business of making the small antennas, correct? So we opted the CRRS technology, and here I'm showing you a published paper actually. Okay, so Zhang et al. They actually published this work in 2011, and they claimed these things compact CPW FET ZOR antenna, correct? So here, like if you see this antenna, so the dimensions are 21 cross 25 mm square. Okay, this is the complete size. Fine, you can see here. This is now if you see the electrical length. Okay, so this is 0.127 lambda naught into 0.107 lambda naught. It's very small compared to this. And if you compare the physical area, actually this is just, we are accommodating 5.44 centimeters square, okay, which is a very small as compared to the patch antenna. Now we reduce the size successfully, but at what cost? We need to understand this thing. Okay, so here the cost is actually that gain. Okay, you see here the gain is actually a negative number. Okay, which is not going to be very useful actually, not at all useful actually for the industrial application. As well as the radiation efficiency, it's 42.5, not at all is useful. Like many of you actually wondering here that with this number, how this paper or this work is published in IEEE transaction on 99 propagation. Okay, this is in 2011 when the subject actually started. Okay, in IIT Kanpur we started actually this work 2008. Okay, when the papers are coming on the CRLS based parallelly. Okay, we developed some of the things. Some of the MTech students there, they developed actually the small antennas. So 2011 actually the things are coming actually, how to reduce the size. So this is a concept actually. This is a concept they given that yes, this is one of the idea by which we can drastically reduce the antenna size. So on that basis, this publication made sense. Okay. Now later on, because it was challenged with these small antennas, that how to improve the gain and how to include the circular polarization and other things. Correct. So many work actually, many things were reported. Even we contributed particularly in the side of how to incorporate the circular polarization in these small antennas, as well as how to improve the far field properties. These two things actually we target. We have a target, and we actually improved these two properties in the small antenna. Okay, so I'll show you that how we done actually these things. Okay, So before that, let us make some background here. Those are new actually in this area. Okay, so they may get some idea that why we are doing these things and why one should opt these things. Correct. So finally, what we have seen, like conventional patch antenna, the issue with the size, bandwidth, sometimes gains also, and these things. And with metamaterial CRLS transmission antenna, what we solved actually, we solved the size and the axial ratio. Correct. Further, we improved the gain, bandwidth, and efficiency. I'll show you some of the published work actually. Correct. So this is one work which actually we reported in MOTL. Correct. I'll show you the details. Fine. So let us start with the historical review of these left-handed materials. It's very important for us. So Vesilago in 1968, he given actually the theoretically the concept of left-handed material. Okay, and after that, in 1996, Pendry and his group realized actually negative permittivity and negative permeability practically with the help of wires and split ring resonators. Correct. And after 5 years, 4 or 5 years actually, Smith and his group actually experimentally verified this concept. You can see the picture here. He experimentally verified these things. Correct. So this is actually we call it as a resonant approach, because here we have for negative permittivity we have the wires and we have the split resonator for negative permeability. Correct. Later on, Ito and Callows actually they given a concept in 2002 about the left-handed transmission line. Okay, so what they did actually, in a shunt parameter they included the L element, okay, inductance, and in a series they have a capacitance. Fine. So like here, many of us have already derived the telegraphic from the telegraphic equation and transmission line. They derived the phase velocity, beta, and impedance, characteristic impedance, and other properties. Like if you take the transmission line, let's say, correct, and if you try to do the same things what you perform in the simple transmission line, okay, so you will amaze that beta particularly you will get in the negative number, and once the beta is negative, you may say that one conclusion that phase and group velocities are anti-parallel. And finally, if you go the material parameter, so negative mu and negative epsilon. Correct. So like here, like when we are talking about the metamaterial, it is not a real material first of all. Okay, it is not going to have nucleus and other things. But this is actually structure-based properties. Okay, at particular band we have negative numbers. Okay, so we are saying this is a engineering RF structures. These are the not real materials actually. We are going to develop for certain frequency bands. Okay, so sometimes you will also see some terminologies they are using the double negative or DNG materials as well. Correct. So like here, if you consider the unit cell of this normal material, so it consists of the electron, neutron, these things, proton, nucleus, and same for if you see for the metamaterial, it is also having the unit cell, but this single unit cell is a combination of, let's say, splitting resonator and the wire, okay, which will provide you the negative properties. Okay, fine. So here you can see backward waves or left-handed waves, same terminology. Okay, what the Callows and Ito actually they used, and here you can see a difference between the right-handed and the left-handed material. That when we are talking about the right-handed material, and if you try to estimate the pointing vector and the k, it is in the same direction, correct, whereas here this is a anti-parallel. Okay, so it provides actually the anti-parallel these properties. Okay, so many of the times actually for focusing application and the optical application we are using these metamaterial properties. Correct. So I'm not going into that because I'm not using these properties. I'm using the CRLS concept. Okay. which is based on the transmission line. Fine. This is for your information. So here now we have what we have. If we divide this material in 4 quad, okay, so we can say as the DPS double positive system, DNG double negative system, this is ENG epsilon negative, and MNG mu negative. Okay, so when we have means everything in our nature which present this material presents are having the double positive system, like let's say your microwave laminates, okay, your FR4 sheets, these materials. Okay, if you try to estimate the material parameter, these all the positive permittivity and positive permeability. Okay, whereas for the DNG, as we have seen, the combination of the certain structures which provides you the negative permittivity. Okay, so here I have given the equivalent circuit as well. Okay, so like here there's a main difference is that when you are making its equivalent, so shunt element is L here whereas C here. Now apart from that, these two terms are very important nowadays. Okay, because other applications like filters, okay, metametal filters are also there, and metametal absorbers are also there. Correct. These two concepts are also very useful, like ENG epsilon negative means only epsilon negative, mu will be positive here. So in that case, this will be this thing, and we may imagine actually only the wire can serve this purpose. Okay, structure wise or the transmission line approach, I'll show you that how we develop these things. Like similarly, MNG mu negative here, so we have the split ring galvanometer. Okay, these structures may provide you the positive permeability. Correct. So the thing is, like nowadays, if you see the metamaterial, okay, because it is not defined properly, correct, still. So here in some of the paper you will see that ENG they are also calling as a metamaterial, MNG they are also calling as a metamaterial, and DNG is also calling as a metamaterial, because one of in 3 quads actually one of the properties unusual, okay, which is not actually available in a nature. Okay, so we may say metamaterial. Okay, meta means beyond actually, which is not in our level. This is beyond actually. Okay, fine. So this is a resonant approach is given by Smith actually, and he proposed some of the mathematical expression here, and these derivations actually they given here to find it out, to estimate particularly the permittivity and permeability. Now here there is a catch actually. It is not like that these structures, if I say the split ring resonator, okay, so this is metamaterial, it is not like that. Okay, this is the confusion among actually many of the researchers. They are coupling their structures with this SRR, okay, and they are saying the metamaterial. It is not like that. We have to properly check whether we are satisfying the boundary condition or not. Let's say if I'm talking about the SRR, split ring resonator, so this H should be, okay, perpendicular to the y-axis, where here that E is supposed to be parallel to this wires. Correct. So in that case, this is we call as a metamaterial. So here you can see a very small reason you can have a negative properties here. Correct. So similarly, other groups also propose some new kind of structure. We are also proposing. Okay, so this is SRR and this is a possible equivalent circuit. This is a paper actually. They propose this equivalent circuit here, and if you make the dual of this, okay, the complementary one, so this is we call it the complementary SRR. Okay, this is the equivalent. Fine. Now if you let's say have a structure where the top of that we have a coupled patch and the bottom we have the complementary split ring resonator. So how we will make the circuit? So the top one is that the inductor and we have the capacitance will be developed ideally actually, but there will be a fringing capacitor inductor. Okay, when you are going for the perfect modeling, you need to take care of all those things. Okay, but if I make the big picture, it will be like this. We have an inductor, we have a coupling capacitor, and then top and bottom is coupled. This is a capacitively coupled, so we place a capacitor here. And this split ring, complementary split ring, we replaced with LC resonator with some losses as well. Correct. So in this way, this could be done roughly. Okay, roughly we can do actually, but when you go on software or ADS or try to estimate the S11 and other things, you need to take care other stray parameter as well. These are very important. Correct. Now, so this all the things later actually realized on the PCB. Okay, the printed boards. What we are using like FR4, Rogers, okay, Taconic, these materials, because these are the planar structures, and this could be integrated in mainly handheld devices. Correct. So in a realistic environment, we could use these things. Okay. So we realize SRR and the material wires on these microwave laminates. Okay. And the thing is, the similar results we got the negative permittivity and negative these things. Fine. Later on, you will see different structures. Okay, split ring resonator configuration. They given some names also, and they proposed this equivalent circuit. So these are the ready to use. You can use these things in your simulations. Okay. Now, so this is what I given actually the a background of the metamaterial and mixed background of the metamaterial and the CRLH. Correct. So now what actually I'm doing, or my group is doing here, is based on the transmission line approach of the metamaterial. Okay, what is that? What actually proposed by the Professor A2 and Kalos. Correct. So here, like because like if you see some of the books, like written by Indra Bahel, okay, and KC Gupta, these are very important books actually. If you see, so in 70s or this 80s actually, this thing, many structures are already checked, and they given actually that where you can get the capacitance and inductance. Correct, like interdigital capacitor. Okay, a very famous one. We all know that we can increase actually the capacitance drastically. Similarly, the Bender line inductor. We know these things. Okay, and many of you actually performed in your theory paper as well in a classroom. These things. So we have seen the different structures, how we may improve, how may controlled way this capacitor inductance. Correct. So basis on the same actually, because I told you earlier that when we are doing with the transmission line approach, okay, so the shunt parameter will be inductor. Others, the series parameter will be the capacitor purely. Okay, theoretically I'm saying. However, theoretically means when I say it is not possible practically, because we need to include some stray capacitance inductance as well. Correct. So here if you see the structure particularly, you will find it out that there is an interdigital capacitor here, there is a stub, and we have a via. Correct. And bottom complete ground plane is there. This is 4 unit cells are here. Now if you check its equivalent circuit, so I believe you can guess. So here this is a capacitive elements here, and here you have an inductive distance, which is going to be short. So this shorting pin actually, if you try to visualize actually this, here the magnetic field around is very high, and here you may imagine actually the large inductance. Correct. So in this way, just a minute, in this way we may actually consider, okay, the shunt inductor. Okay, so this is the idea. This is a simple idea for you. You can develop these things, and later on you can play with the different structures. Correct. And you may cross verify it by plotting the dispersion diagram and other things. Correct. So many of you actually knowing about the transmission lines. A 2-wire transmission line is the very simplest one, and particularly telegraphic equation and other things. So here if you see its equivalent, you will find it out that in series we have the inductor, and in a shunt we have capacitor. Apart from that, here we included the losses, ohmic losses and dielectric losses as well. Correct? Now, we have also went through in a textbook that the segment of or the part of the transmission line could be behave as a capacitor inductor. We already know this thing. Like let us take we have a part of the transmission line and we are making a short circuit. Correct? So the impedance, if you try to calculate the input impedance, this will be JZ0 and beta D. Beta D is the electrical length, and here you can see here this is a inductive property. Correct? But we cannot say this is inductive because this argument is going to decide whether it will behave as an inductive or capacitive. Okay? Because this argument, depending upon this, we may have the negative and positive sign. Okay? So for that, actually, when you run these things, so for the different lengths, so what you can find it out that particularly at 0 to 1/4, okay, you have an inductive property, then capacitive, inductive, like that. Okay, so one thing is clear that from the segment of the transmission and one can make actually what the inductive and capacitive nature. Similarly, what we learn in a single and double stub matching. Correct? Same is here, open circuit. Okay, if you try to find it out, this is minus Z, and here again this argument will be deciding this is a capacitive inductive. So why I am showing this thing? The reason is that you can get the idea that how we can make the capacitor inductor. Okay, how you can make the capacitor inductor with the help of this transmission line segments. Correct? So similarly, this could be performed when we are doing with the CRLH structures as well. Correct? Okay. So like if you derive, okay, by the help of the telegraphic equation of the transmission lines, so you will be getting the beta as a negative number, which is 1 upon omega under root LL CL. Correct? Fine. Yeah. So here you can see these things. The shunt element is these things. Now, depending upon that, actually, if you run the simulation, okay, and if you try to plot here fields, actually, okay, electric field, you will see that some of the fields propagating in a right positive Z direction, and some of here in between, actually, if I place the negative parameters here, so this will be a negative side. Okay, so like in a focusing application, we are also using, okay, these things. So this is one idea that yes, we are proving our concept. Okay, like even with the planar circuit as well. Okay, because theoretically, if we go, we have the negative these things. Fine. Now this composite right left-handed transmission line. Okay, so because as I told you, like if we take this structure, okay, this is an interdistal capacitor, inductor, stub inductor, and via. Correct. So surely what will happen if the current, when current is flowing, actually, so there will be flux. Okay, due to this flux we have the magnetic field and we have the inductance. Okay, that is why apart from this capacitor, because capacitance is dominating here, along with that this flux actually generated, which is unwanted for us, we have the LR. We are calling as a LR. Okay, right-handed inductor. It's very small as compared to this thing. It's not dominating at the series side. Whereas here, if you see, okay, if you see the stub and the VI, actually, VI is directly we connected to the ground. So surely here will be large magnetic fields will be there, and we have a flux, and we may assume here these things, the LL, which is a left-handed inductor. And because there is a capacitor is forming between the grounds and the structure, okay, which is a stray one, okay, so we are representing as a CR. Correct. Depending on that, if you plot the dispersion diagram, what you will see that negative beta means here, if you see particularly, this is a right-handed and this is a purely left-handed here, this thing. And the thing is, like depending upon the case, like this particular unit cell is a balance or unbalanced, means if the shunt and series frequencies are same, so we are saying the balance, otherwise unbalanced, and we, depending upon that, we can estimate these frequencies by this formula. And the beta and ZC, we can find it out like that. Omega naught is a transition frequency. This is what is very important for us. Okay. This is actually I have taken from this book, C. Kellows and Justo Ito, Electromagnetic Metamaterial Transmission Line Approach and Microwave Application. Correct. So you can have a book and you can find the details. Fine. Now separately, if we look this thing, so positive right-handed side, we have the circuit like this. Okay, and this is what the dispersion diagram will be like this. Okay, this is purely left-handed like this, and when we are combine these two, this is called CRLH, and the idea is these things. Nowadays you will see that DCRLH, dual of CRLH, means we are making this parallel element to the series and series tuition. Okay, so this is also the case actually we may think of, and we may have the dispersion diagram like this here. These are the very well-known formulas by which you can find it out the dispersion characteristic. It's already available in DM Kurzar. Correct. So depending upon the results, like if you have the S11 or ADS results, you may find it out the beta. Correct. So like how you will do these things, you have to decide the unit cell parameter. Okay, you have to do the dispersion analysis, you have to optimize the things, and finally you have to cascade for making the transmission line. But this is not the things actually. Fine, this is for the equivalent circuit. I'm not going into that. Okay, so like here, this is one example of the single CRLH unit cell. Fine. So this is the equivalent to these things. We optimize this circuit and this thing, and based on that, we got these dimensions like this. We use the 2.2 closures here. So this is the guidelines here. Like if you choose as 2.2, 2.4 gigahertz frequency, so you have to calculate the Z0. You have to set the W. Okay. So let us say 5 mm, and depending upon that, we have to find the WS of 20%. So these are some designs. So basically, you can find the WC and LC. Okay, this is your LC. Okay, and this is your W. Okay. So depending upon that, you can find it out its dimensions. Fine. And finally, what you can do is other way around. When you have this structure, you simulate it properly over the HFSS or CST. Okay, so you can find it out this S parameter. You can assign the port number 1 and port number 2, and once you have this S parameter, you can find it out its beta. Correct. So why we are doing this thing? Because we need to confirm whether we are on a right track or not. It means that we are having the negative properties or not. Correct. Or dispersion is negative or not. Okay. Now, apart from this CRLH actually one of the very important thing what we are using actually. So this is about the theoretical thing what I told you, but what in reality what we are using, I'm going to tell you. So we are using a very important property is called the zeroth order resonance. Correct, of this CRLH transmission line. Correct. So let's say we have a balance case. Correct. In the balance case, we don't have the shunt and series frequency. We have only the transition frequencies omega naught. Correct. Now, if you see the omega naught, it is coming here. Okay. Some frequency. Okay. At some frequency, if you see here on x-axis, you will find the beta is 0. If the beta is 0, we can say lambda is infinity. Correct. Can we say yes? We can say lambda will be infinity. Okay. What is the meaning actually? Does it make it sense actually? Beta is 0 or lambda is infinity. The thing is, if you try to plot the voltage gradient over these things, you will find the equipotential surface over that. Correct. It means that now the frequency is independent of the size of the structure. Okay. So it means that now we can go down, means we can reduce the size, but the frequency will not change. Okay. Because here if you try to plot here, M is 0 and the constant voltage we are getting here. Correct? And this property is very special actually. Okay? And now once we know the frequency, that this is the frequency actually, or we can tune actually, this is in our hand, depending upon the size or length of the stub or intercell capacitor, we can make a system, okay, or a unit cell actually, which can provide your required frequency, where this ZOR property can obtain. Correct? Now if you connect with the antennas, actually these things, there is a one interesting fact is here, that because there is a zero gradient of the potential actually, means all the fields are vertical. It means that if you try to realize its magnetic field, this is in a XY plane, and you may expect actually a situation of omnidirectional antenna. Okay, and we all know for the mobile application or handheld application, these omnidirectional antennas are very, very important. Correct? So it means that yes, we can exploit this property to design the small antenna with omnidirectional radiation pattern. Correct? So this is one point. So depending upon that, okay, these transmission lines, you can have the open-ended and short these things, and when you are making short and open, you will be having the shunt and series resonance points. Okay, like here you can see these 2 points are getting, this is no way we can say this is a balanced transmission line. So shunt and series frequency we are getting. So in that case actually, when you have these things, shunt means you have open-ended case. Correct? In that case you can say actually this is a ZOR. Correct? Apart from that, when you have the short-ended, you have the series, this element will be there, and these are the deciding factor. So in that case actually your ZOR will be omega S. Correct? Now how it looks like actually. Correct? Because this is overall the visualization actually I am talking about. So what we discussed, beta is 0, lambda is infinity. Okay, which implies the length is independent of the frequency. Correct? Flat field distribution. Correct? Now here, if you try to plot it, okay, what I told you, this is flat field distribution and no voltage gradient. It means the fields are like this. Okay, the field. This is our structure actually, what we simulated. This is taken from some paper actually. So now here you can see we perfectly realized actually ZOR at some frequency, and we didn't mention frequency, but at some frequency we got these things. Correct? Similarly, like one thing actually I forgot to tell you, because the transmission line concept, okay, CRLS transmission line concept particularly carries the number of unit cells. Okay, so let's say if you have the 3 unit cells, so total resonance point will be 2 and minus 1. Okay, in that case 2 into 2 minus 1, it means 4 minus 1, 3 points will be there. So among these 3 points actually there is a one middle point, which we can say minus 1, 0 and 1. So this 0 wala point is that we are calling as a ZOR. Okay, and first order resonance. Okay, and the minus this minus 1 is this another first order resonance at the negative side. Correct? So we are estimating like that. Now let us try to understand the main difference between the radiation mechanism actually I'm talking about, the microstrip antenna and the CRLS antenna. Correct? So when we are talking about the microstrip antennas, okay, so the 2 sides are not radiating, whereas the other 2 sides, okay, are radiating. Correct? You can see there the anti-parallel surface currents are there. Due to that, the 2 edges are not participating in a radiation, whereas the other 2 are radiating, and that is why we have the directional pattern, or okay, broadside radiation pattern. Okay, opposite of this actually, okay, when we are talking about the CRLS, as I told you, this is no voltage gradient, so the current will be in a circular form, and once this is a circular form actually, So we may expect a omnidirectional radiation pattern. You can see on the slide. Okay, this is the omnidirectional radiation pattern. Correct. So this is what we simulated, and we tried to verify some of the papers actually when we started the subject. So it is good practice that when you starting some subject, you take some good paper, okay, and try to resimulate it. So similarly, we did it actually, okay, and what we found, the results are okay, the simulation results are okay, and the field predicted for n is equal to 0 and n is equal to -1 are also same. So here you can see there is a main patch here, it's coupled patch. You can see there are two gaps are there, and intercell structures are there and connected finally on the ground plane. This is a CPW, this thing, correct? And the back side of that we have the back metallic patch to improving the gap gain actually, because a very small antenna, so we require a reflector kind of things. So this was the idea in this paper actually, and successfully we validated the results. Okay, now this is the time that how we can develop our own. Okay, so this is one more comparison for you, like for the patch antenna at 2.4 gigahertz. Okay, so like what we did actually, because patch antenna is providing a broadside direction radiation pattern, and metal antenna or the CRS based antenna providing the omnidirectional antenna. So what we did, we put it a via actually, vias here. This is nothing but it's just for the or used as a reflector actually. So it converting actually omnidirectional to the broadside direction, correct? So this is the equivalent circuit here. Now here if you see the results, okay, these two antennas are operating at almost same frequencies. Okay, a little bit bandwidth is less as compared to the patch antenna. If you see the gain actually, the patch antenna is almost 5 dB around, and the CRLH is more than 2 dB, which is acceptable to run many of the critical applications. Radiation intensity is almost comparable, and here if you see the radiation pattern also is also the same. This is for the patch antenna, and this is for the our developed antenna, CRLS based antenna, correct? Now if you check the overall size for n is equal to 0, we have 21 by 24, whereas patch 45 by 29. This is patch size. Overall size is larger actually here, and we maintain the radiation. But what actually we compromised here? We compromised the radiation property. From the omnidirectional radiation pattern, we converted these things in a broadside pattern, correct? And this helps actually to focus the energy in a particular direction, and we have the improved radiation intensity and the gain as well, correct? So overall miniaturization we claimed here the 84.7% as compared to the patch antenna at 2.4 gigahertz. Okay. Now, so the thing is, like when we are talking about this metametal antenna or CRLS based antennas, correct? So people are saying or claiming actually different things. Okay, and they are talking about the CRLS based antenna. In some papers, you will find the metametal loading, meta resonators, meta surfaces. So all we are calling as the metametal antennas. Okay, sometimes. Okay. So the thing is, like what I told so far, it is a CRLS transmission based antennas, correct? Second thing is that some of the papers I found that they are loading some of the structures, okay, well-known structure which can provides you the negative properties, so they're calling it the metametal loading. But the thing is, in that case, please double check that the boundary conditions are satisfying or not, correct? Otherwise we cannot say. Second is meta resonator, like ELC loading or SRR, these things also. The last one is very popular, and we are also doing this EPG and AMC and RIS, okay, to improving the far field properties. So this is all about the theory part, I would say actually, for how to develop the compact antennas, okay, or these metametal antennas particularly. Now the thing is, because when we started the subject, So initially, when the subject started, if you check the literature survey, the papers were coming actually from 2007 onwards, 7 or 8 onwards. But these are with the negative gains and very, very poor actually radiation properties. Correct. But the best part with those papers are they are very, very small. Correct. So with this fact, actually, the subject is started. Okay, and later on, actually, we improved the game and we realized that these small antennas must have the circular polarizations. Correct. So it is very important to have the idea of the circular polarization, how we can, what is that, what is this CP, and how we can accommodate in the antennas. Okay, and after that I will be talking about that how we merge this CP actually with these antennas. Correct. So like here, if you see, we have two things. One is a narrow band and another is a broadband. And traditionally, if you recall it, if you recall it, okay, you will find it this antenna. This is uniform helical antenna. You know? I believe many of you already seen this structure, okay, in many textbooks. Correct. And still we are using in defense and space application, you see. Correct. Because this is a very simple way to control the RSCP and LSCP as well, depending upon the winding. Actually, you may control the RSCP and LSCP. Now, how we can make it broadband? Okay, how we can make it for wideband applications? Correct. So what we can do, you can see here. Gradually, if you are making, okay, if you are increasing the diameter, okay, of each distance, so we may expect actually some of the wideband. Okay, and this is very much popular in antenna engineering, that the gradual change in impedance will provide you the broadband response. So depending upon the same fact, actually they develop these antennas. But you see, these are the 3D antennas. Okay, particularly this helical antenna, 3D antenna, and it requires a lot of space, as well as the radiation efficiency is not good, because this thing's metallic wire. Okay, you have to have this thing's metallic wire. Okay, and you have to very much careful about these windings and these things, these radius and all. Later on, spiral planar, many of research group they develop these things. So this is some of the basic idea. Like many of us, we are knowing that polarization, we know this is a locus of the net electric field. Okay, we are calling as a polarization. Correct. So actually, this circular polarization is coming from the elliptical polarization. Okay, so the common one is the elliptical polarization. So this is the equation here, and we are measuring the axial ratio with the Emax over Emin. Fine. So there are two special cases of the elliptical polarization. One is a linear, another is circular. We all know these things. So here you can see this is one of the linear polarization. If you have this delta is having n pi, okay, so we have the field like this. Okay, so like here you have the y polarized wave. Correct. Now for the circular polarization, there's a condition here that these two magnitudes must be same. Okay, and the phase the phase between this thing should be 90 degrees. Okay, so like if you try to rewrite this equation, this is ex square ey square is equal e naught square, which is the equation of circle. Okay, so we have number of benefits with the circular polarization. Correct. So we have a very good link reliability. We have a easy installation process. Okay, sometimes when we are using the spiral antenna, this thing, and actually also very good for the atmospheric conditions, because you are not going to losing your signal, because at any position you are receiving the signal. Correct. So this is the thing. Apart from that, there are a lot of applications like MIMO antennas are coming. You may consider the CP MIMO antennas nowadays. Correct. And small antennas, what we are doing for the satellite communication, there's a lot of chances here to lose a signal. So we may introduce the CP properties, these things, correct? So this is depending upon the winding. Actually, we have LSCP and RSCP. And in a very simple way, one can do the LSCP and RSCP like this. So if you feed like this, the current will be like this. This is RSCP. We are feeding from this point, the current will be like this. This is LSCP. In a patch antenna, we are truncating actually the corners and we are getting LSCP and RSCP. Okay, so there are advantages we already talked about. Okay, and there are certain disadvantages, like low gain and loss of 3 dB power. Okay, because low gain, because we are distributing power equally in all direction, and there is a loss of 3 dB power. Okay, because antenna may be, other side may be the linearly polarized. Okay, so this is one possibility. Okay, so in that case, some disadvantage also there. Correct. Mainly, actually, we have the very low gain. So, what are the challenges in realization? Correct. What we faced actually, in particularly these small antennas. Okay, the first thing is that how to maintain the equal amplitude and the phase. Correct. Second is that miniaturization and with the CP antennas, because with a very small space, it is really very challenging to accommodate these properties. And finally, designing of omnidirection CP antenna. This is one of the biggest tasks actually for us. Okay, so still actually we are studying these things, and pattern reconfigurability. This is another thing. So you may take as the challenges and you may also work in this direction. Correct. You may find number of work in these things. Now, for these things, for easy understanding, actually, you may understand these CP nowadays, because people are talking about modes. Okay, so like if you have the electric dipoles, okay, for with 90-degree facing for TM or TE, correct? So you may say this is 90-degree phase apart, and you need to introduce phase delay of 90 degree. Once you have these things, you can say this is a circular polarized wave. Other way around is that you have the magnetic dipole as well as the electric dipole. If you create the magneto-electric dipole conditions, okay, so you have the CP realizations. Okay, so this is actually some of the example once you have the TM and TE mode only, and this is for the CP antenna when you have the TM and TE both. Okay, these are the geometries actually we developed actually in our antennas. You can see some of the DRs also actually, because this is one of the our focused area. Okay, where we contributed a lot in realizing the CP waves inside the DR. Okay, so I'm not going into this because this is not the subjects for the today's talk. Okay, so let me tell you, because we developed so many structures, so many antenna structures, and how we incorporated these things. Correct. I'll show you this thing, some of the structures. Okay, we have I think time also, and later on we'll discuss these things. Correct. So first I'll show you that how we developed actually the small antennas, our structures, what we developed at IIT ISM Dhanbad with my students, with my PhD and MTech students. Correct. So this is our first work actually. Okay, new kind of work you can say, epsilon negative, that CPW fed ZOR antenna, and here the important part is the background plane for extending the bandwidth and miniaturization. Okay, so this work actually is very important, and we reported in IEEE Transactions on Antenna and Propagation in 2015. Okay, done by one of my PG student, Samir Sharma. So here you can see a very small antennas, correct? And here you can see this is a radiator. Okay, and this is a signal line. Okay, and this is CPW. So here we have a ground plane on the top. Correct? You can see it. Okay? I have written each and everything. So this is a bow type shape radiator, very well-known radiator actually. Capacitance is very high. Capacitive antenna we can see also these things. And the back side of that you can see here we put it these things. Okay, a copper plate. Okay, this is the back side. So here we used to fabricate the FR4, a very cheapest microwave laminate, okay, and it obeys actually the Chu limit, okay. Finally, if you see the electrical size, it's very small, okay. I'm talking about the radiator size only. This is 0.095 lambda naught into 0.042 lambda naught. That is very small. Now here, these are the some of the analysis, okay. We try to make the equivalent circuit, and depending upon that, we try to find it out its formula we derived actually for ZOR frequency. So like here we have a number of elements here, correct? Like here you can see, so we have a different coupling. Like when the signal will go, correct, so there will be inductance, and there will be some capacitive part here, and very thin line is there actually. You can see a very thin line is there. This will contribute as an inductance, and finally this is contributing as a capacitive element, okay. So depending upon that, we develop these things, okay, this equivalent circuit, and we have ZOR frequency formula. Now let us talk about the results actually. So here, this is first thing is electrically small, okay, and here if you see, so first actually we simulated this structure when we don't have the lower ground plane, okay, only the CPW fit, simple CPW fit, and this bow type radiator. So we optimized and we got the response around 3.6 or 7 gigahertz, correct? You can see. Now as soon as we incorporated the lower ground plane, what will happen? Lower ground plane, the beneath of this radiator actually. So what will happen? There will be a capacitance actually generated, and this capacitance, because this coupling capacitance, okay, in a denominator if you see here, correct, it will drive this frequency at the lower side, and this shift of is very drastic shift is 1.3 gigahertz, and now we have 2.4 gigahertz, okay. So from here, earlier means this is a ENG structure, or already given you some miniaturized antenna size, and additionally when we are loading this thing, we got the additional miniaturization, and we are claiming here the 57.9% miniaturization, correct. So this is one of the big achievement for us, and we have seen the radiation pattern. It is not going to deteriorate your radiation pattern. Still, this is the unidirection radiation pattern. You can see this is a measured response, measured radiation thing. Now here you can see here the average peak gain is 1.59. So as we have seen in 2011, the negative gain papers are there. Even 2014-15 as well, negative gain paper are there. This is the paper actually come with a positive gain, because we use a back patch actually just placed actually back of the radiator side only, correct. So in that case, we provided a chance to this antenna so that this may increase the gain because it's acting as a reflectors, okay. And here the average radiation range is 91.5. But the thing is like we want to further improve the gain, okay. So what we discussed that time, and we have seen that there are a lot of these things. Like if you see the cross polar component is very high, and this is because a large, because definitely surface currents will be there, okay. If you send a signal here, okay, a current here, surface current here, you will see the lot of current will be there, and this is a very small area, correct, very small area. So surely it will affect your gain because the cross polar component will increase, okay. Now for that actually what we did, we make in some slots actually, okay, and we make in such a way that at particular frequency band where we are operating, this will act as a stop band nature, okay. We are calling as a electromagnetic band gap structures. And what happened actually when we introduced these structures actually, so there is a one drawback actually when we are improving these things. So we are actually altering the design parameter as well. So what happened, the series capacitance we increased, and what happened due to this, the shift of the frequency in the right side, okay. So no longer this antenna we called as a electrically small now, correct, because we try to improve the gain within a small these things, okay, but at the same time, this K value is not less than 1, correct? So we don't have, we cannot say this time this is a relatively small antenna, but yes, physically, if you see, this is still a very small antenna, correct? Like here you can see the three things. First, without background plane, this is a background plane, and this is with the EBG. So again, this is a blue one, blue line, blue curve here. This is the final one, correct? And here we have a little improvement of gain, because still if you see, the cross polar component is this. So now this is one challenge, how to improve the gain actually this small antenna. But the thing is, we got acceptable range of the gain here, I would say that. Similarly, one of my PhD student actually developed the antenna on the same concept, okay, almost same concept, the ENG concept, correct? And he developed a very small antenna as well, the same thing he developed. And you can see here the structure actually, if you see, this is an intercell capacitor we have, okay, and we have a very thin inductor, and this is a radial stem. Backside of that, if you see here, we have a background plane, okay, which is not connected but using as a reflector again. So here, because if you see here, we don't have the CL, which is a left-handed capacitance here, so we are calling as an ENG structure, correct? So particularly here, this antenna is operating at the two frequencies here, okay, and one frequency is due to ZOR, okay, another is that this lambda by 4, this path actually is following. This is one radiating mode is appearing here, okay, and this is another one, correct? So the two frequencies we identified here, okay, here you can see. So this thing is ZOR mode, and this is lambda by 4 mode we are saying, okay, this one actually, okay, you can see our current actually is covering, okay, and this is, if you calculate the electrical length, this is lambda by 4. Based on that, we are called as a lambda by 4, okay. The results are good, but the thing is, like, we want to develop this antenna for WLAN applications, okay, this ZOR matching and other things are, it's good actually. The bandwidth is small, but the idea actually, we given an idea here that how we can actually, how we can make a very small antennas, correct, these things. So like here, if you see the physical, this is almost comparable with the connector. You see, this antenna is almost comparable with the connector. Now, if you see the gain actually, so gain is almost more than 2 dB, and at where we are operating ZOR, this is almost 3.5 dB. So this is one of the achievement actually in these small antennas. So this is the recent work actually I would like to discuss with you. And here we faced whatever challenge we faced actually earlier, like how to introduce the CP and how to improve the gain. So we given a solution. Okay, we also reported this work in IEEE Antenna Propagation magazine in 2020. Okay, done by one of my PhD students. So here the concept is very simple. Okay, and the thing is, you may also thought of the new ideas with this. So this is again the ENG antenna, okay, epsilon negative antenna here, and here you can see this is a circular ring, and we connected with a rectangular strip, and this is acting as a virtual ground plane, okay, and the backside of that we put it a split ring resonator, you can see here, okay, and here we have a partial ground. Now, like earlier structure, if you see, we use the CPW, okay, and we all know that if you are using the partial ground plane, correct, so in this way we can improve the bandwidth, correct. So we accommodated this all the concept within the single structure, correct. So the first point is that this is an ENG TL configuration, and here we have an asymmetric feed line. We are used here FR4 substrate, okay, which is a lossy one, okay, and we integrated the ENG plus CSRR, okay. C stand for here this circular, splitting resonator, not complementary. That is why we put it a dash here, C dash SRR. Correct. Here the size is 0.26 into 0.16 lambda naught square at 3.5 gigahertz, mainly for sub-6 gigahertz. We are developed these things. So now what is a special actually? Okay, and how we are getting the CP this thing. So metamaterial part is clear that why we are getting these things. I'll show you the equivalent circuit and this will be clear. But before that, how we reached actually at the final structure, I'll show you. So we used first the monopole antenna, simple monopole antenna, correct? Or transmission line, you can say. Matchings are not good actually. Later on, we introduce a ring actually and virtual ground plane. Then after we introduce a circular SRR here, backside of this. So now here what you can see that when we are moving from stage 2 to stage 3, so you can see that two resonance points are there, correct? And this is nothing but this second point is because of this splitting resonator, correct? So now we making the wideband these things, okay, as well as the CP properties are also okay. How these things I'll tell you. So now we are claiming here the bandwidth is 15.44%, which can run many of the application at sub-6 gigahertz, okay, and axial ratio bandwidth is 7.5%. Now let us try to understand this equivalent modeling, correct? So here you can see is we taken from the literature, just a minute. We taken all the things from the literature actually for designing its equivalent circuit, okay? Like here, this is very well known structure, correct? This is very well known, and this from this paper actually, okay, you can find it out equivalent, okay? Rest of the antenna, the upper part we develop like this, okay? So here you can see this is a LR, the signal patch is there and this ring is there. Then we have a virtual ground here. So the virtual ground, the parameter will be in a shunt, and this thin line will produce a high inductance, which is a LL, okay? And there will be some coupling capacitance as well, because we are using the partial ground plane, so we put it as a C1. Now here if you check actually, this is splitting resonator, okay? Sorry. So this is splitting resonator actually, so there's a two gaps are there. That is why you can see C0 by 4 and C0 by 4. Just a minute. Okay, so this is C0 by 4 and C0 by 4. And here we have the metallic part, we introduce the LS, okay? So the thing is we directly taken from this this paper actually, and we just added these two, okay? This is developed by us and this is developed by this paper actually. Here you can see this paper you can find. So we added these two actually, and now we have a complete equivalent circuit here. Now we can put in ADS and we can find it out. And depending upon that, we calculated the ZOR frequency and its CSRR frequency, correct? And we verified the same. These two resonance point, we verified these things. Later on, actually, because we have to optimize the thing, so we optimize different parameters like the length of the connecting wire to this virtual ground plane. Okay, we have the WS, this things width of these things is very important. We have the thickness actually of the ring resonators, correct? So like this is the ENG structure. So this inductance, okay, which is in a shunt, is playing a very important role. When you are changing, so the resonance will change. But when you are changing the series elements, the resonance will not change. This is one of the beauty of these CRLH metamaterial antennas, okay? Shunt parameter and series parameter, they are working differently, correct? So now here these things are not changing. It means that here we may increase or decrease. It's not going to affect the resonance point. Maybe the phase may change, okay? Later on, we also verified the dispersion diagram, and what we found that at this frequency we are getting the negative properties here, and here this could be further verified distance here. Like here, if you see around 3.55, we have the negative this permeability. Oh, sorry, this from here actually. This is a positive one, but here, if you see here at 3.5, you have the little bit slightly the negative parameters actually. Okay, that is why we are calling as a epsilon negative transmission line this thing. Now further we verified plotting the surface current distribution at two different frequencies. One is from the antenna, other is from the backside. Correct. Okay. So now the thing is, here you can see. So this is for due to ZOR. Okay. Because here this is a connecting wire, and this particular is responsible for the left-handed inductance. Whereas backside, if you see, okay, so this is actually resonating at 3.7 gigahertz. So it is clearly, we can clearly say here that the two different resonances are there. Okay. Now the next question arises here, that how this CP property, I did not explain so far. Okay, I just told about this ANG and other thing. But how this metamaterial property, how this CP property, can you guess, or can you visualize? I can provide you, okay, some of the things by which you can visualize that how these two vertical field orthogonal fields are there. Like if you, like I told you, when we are dealing with the ZOR antennas, okay, so the fields are actually the orthogonal, okay, like this, okay, the fields are orthogonal. So what we need actually, if we try to have the field in a plane, okay, so we have the orthogonal fields, electric fields here. So the top one actually, okay, the top of the antenna, the top of the substrate actually, the antenna part will provide you the uniform normal field, okay, to the antenna surface, correct? And the back side actually, if you see, there is a strong electric field between this gap. Okay, so these actually provides you the chance to have the orthogonal fields. Okay, now the next question should be that how we are getting the 90-degree phase shift between these two. So what we observed, that changing the radius of this backside of SRR, we can control the phase, correct? And hence we have the circular polarized properties here. Now here you can see here. So this is the CP generation characteristic. So what we did actually, we varied actually this R3, okay, and here you can see S11, and here this is AR parameter, axial ratio bandwidth. So here you can see at particular radius, okay, this blue one is perfect axial ratio. Otherwise, we don't have. What is the conclusion? The conclusion is actually, that we are not able to make this 90-degree phase shift between the two orthogonal fields. That is why we are losing the axial ratio property. Okay, so this comes with the visualization, and later on we also verified actually from this simulated surface current distribution. Okay, so this is rotating clockwise direction. Okay, so these are the experimental results. Okay, so here we have the bandwidth of 580 megahertz from 3.32 to 3.90, covering a very important sub-6 gigahertz band for upcoming 5G applications and all. Also, it provides the circular polarization within that range also, correct? And if you check the gain actually and efficiency is very good. Is more than 2 dB, correct? Or more than that actually, correct? 2.72 dB actually, average if I calculate, and radiation efficiency is 63%. Now the thing is, like the gain is okay, radiation is less actually, we may improve, these things, and if we further improve the gain and other things, it would be very good. Correct. And here we plotted actually the radiation pattern. So this is here we call it, this is the left hand circular projection here. Okay. So this is all about the CP antenna, particularly metametal CP antenna. Within a very small and compact space, we somehow manage the CP property, and without changing its ZOR property and these things and radiation pattern. Correct. So this was the achievement. Now, other point is that we want to further increase actually, or rather to say, improve the far field radiation characteristic. So what we did actually, we use the artificial magnetic conductors. Okay, what is that artificial magnetic conductor? In text, most of the text of textbook, you may find it out the concept. The concept is opposite to the PEC. Okay, perfect electric conductors. So here we have the reflection, but with 0 degree phase. That is why if you calculate the gamma, it will be +1. Okay, whereas the PEC will provide you 180 degree phase shift. Fine. So like why we want to do these things? Because let's say if you have an antenna and if you provide a sufficient reflector backside of the antenna, so you have the directional pattern as well as you may improve the far field radiation characteristic as well. But there's a limitation. If you are using the PEC, you have to put apart this antenna and PEC λ/4. Correct. So this limitation actually increases the size of the antenna. Okay, this increases the size of the antenna, which is not actually required in our case. We already reduced the antenna size. Now we are increasing the antenna size along the Z direction, which is again a worse thing for us. Correct. So for that actually we developed some of the artificial magnetic conductors. Okay. So what is the plus point here? Plus point is that we can keep any of the distance. It is not compulsory that at λ/4. It may be less than λ/4 also. Correct. So for that, a well-known structure actually we developed. Here you can see there is a strong capacitance is there actually, and the idea of AMC is derived from the same. Now here from this we optimize the structure from the band actually where we develop the antenna. Okay, and we have the response like this. Okay, so here the unit cell size is 8.75 to 8.75 and ±90 degree reflection phase between 3.2 to 3.9, which is our required zone where we develop the antenna. Correct. And this structure actually we derived a very well known actually complementary structure, one of the published structure, these things. Here, this is we model its equivalent circuit and parametric analysis. Okay, and we run the optimization. Okay, and we try to fix the optimum one. So what we found that if we are making the 5x5 unit cell, so we may increase these far field properties. Correct. Here you can see this blue curve. We have a good Excel ratio, correct, and we have a well matched response as well. We have the gain is more than 5 dB, and we have other properties too, correct. Now the thing is spacing. Actually later on we found out that spacing again we need to do some little bit, because we are dealing with a CP antenna, not normal antenna. If this would be normal antenna, correct, there would be no problem. We can keep any of the distance less than λ/4, but we have to run some optimization, because when we are putting this AMC, what we found that it disturbing actually the phase. Okay, so we have the orthogonal fields, but at the same time that we are losing this 90 degree wala phase between these two electrical fields actually. So what we optimize that when if you are keeping at some distance at 10 mm, it's very small actually. So we may maintain actually all the far field properties. Okay, so this is one of the limitation we experience, and I'm sharing with you because when you develop, okay, you need to please take care of this point. So this is the overall antenna here we have. If you see here, the bandwidth is almost same what we achieved earlier. There is a no compromise here. Even the axial ratio bandwidth is also same. Correct. Now here the changes are there. We have the average efficiency more than 80% and peak efficiency is around 88.4, which is close to 90%. This is a good thing. Second point is that with artificial magnetic conductor, we have gained more than 5 dB. Okay, or close to 5 dB actually, which is a big achievement. Okay, so for many of the space application, this antenna could be utilized. Correct. So this is the radiation pattern. You can see this is LSCP radiation providing this antenna here to us, and particularly one more thing, like we try to verify it actually. It's that because we put it the reflector as a AMC, so this is a directional antenna, so it is required that when we are making this kind of antenna, so plus minus 45 degree, okay, how much gain and these things. It is not like that at the peak you are getting the high gain, the work is done. It is not like that. Okay, the thing is that you're supposed to maintain actually plus minus 45 degree for the space application, I'm telling you. Okay, so here you can see plus minus 45 degree, the shaded area here. You can see the axial ratio is less than distance 3 dB down, and the gain is more than 3.34 dB all the time. Correct. So this is the best thing actually for us for space kind of antennas. Okay. Similarly, based on this concept, we develop other antennas too, and we have this AMC as a reflector we use, and like in this work actually we have the orthogonal ZOR structures actually, and those orthogonal structures are providing the CP properties. Okay, here you can see the two unit cells are there. So in this way actually we improve the CP with this antenna, and finally we put at the AMC, same kind of things, and we got the good gain also. Okay, so the analysis wise this is almost same. Correct. The particularly the difference between the earlier one is that bottom side we did not actually make anything. On the top of the side we just put it the orthogonal, these two orthogonal structure, and because we know this will provide the orthogonal fields. Okay, so the purpose is now solved and we got the CP. So this is the final structure we have. Here you can see. Okay. And what we realized actually between this gap is very important. This gap is helping us to improve the phase difference of 90 degree. This is the complete equivalent circuit, and later on we developed the AMC at that particular band, and I should show the final result here. Okay. So yes, so these are the experimental results we have. So we have 2.18 to 3.04, and the axial ratio is also from 2.37 to 2.78 this band, and we have gained around 5 dB. Okay, and the efficiency is close to 90%. Okay, so this is one thing, and apart from that, one of the OC conference, this is one of the invited paper actually in Delhi. Correct. So what we did actually here, we used a number of things, and this is almost same actually what I presented earlier in that magazine paper, IEEE magazine paper. Here you can see actually. So we the target was actually that can we introduce the CP property in multi-bands. Okay, it is a challenge actually. We took a challenge that can we do the CP property in a different bands. Okay, so for that actually to to have the multi-band property, we introduce a number of resonators. Okay, and the back side of that you can see we have the splitting resonator. That is, the purpose is the same for getting the CP property. But the thing is, here only the one band we got the CP. Okay, later on actually one of our published paper in IEEE AWPL actually recently we published, where the three bands with three bands, and we have all the bands we have the CP actually. So this was that time we started this work actually. Okay, that how we can make CP with different these things. Correct. So this was just a try that time. Okay, so we presented this work in one of the conference. So here you can see number of elements are there. Okay, I'm not going into details. Okay, so we have a number of things you can see here. Okay, split resonators are there. We have rectangular strips are there. Correct. We have number of gaps. We have the Mendel line slots are there. So they are all contributing some frequency bands. Correct. This is the equivalent one, and we got the ZOR at 1.66 near to GPS frequency. Now here you can see here these things. We have the quad band antenna actually, and here the this is electrically small. K is 0.46, and here you can see the four bands are there. 1, 2, 3, and 4. These four bands are there, and like here you can see, like we started with the monopole, then we making the wide, then we given the some gaps actually. Correct. So gradual change, like usually what we started the same way actually we did, and then after we introduce the strips actually, this is just acting as a reflector. Then we introduce the SRR, the same purpose, introducing the 90-degree phase shift like that. Okay, so this is all the things. So here you can see actually this is the this antenna design. Here we have, this is the S11, and we further verified the ZOR property as well. These things. So this is the final one. Okay, this is the final one, and here you can see this is first one is a ZOR, the second one is due to the spiral slot, third one is due to the SRR1 backside wala this thing, and higher order modes are we try to manage such a way that it will provide some bands actually, and this is a constructive one, so we adopted these things. Okay, and later on these things, this bandwidth enhancement and other things we controlled with this split resonator too. Correct. So number of analysis we performed actually. Correct. And finally, if you see here, we integrated with the reflector again, and we got actually the actual issue within the band of 4.5 to 4.9. But the problem is that other bands are not coming. Okay, at that time when we started this thing. But later on, actually, we introduced the LP to CP converter. Okay, for this actually, I am not actually going to present that thing. But if you want, you can download that paper. Recently, we published in 2020 this work. So by using the LP to CP converter, we have converted all the LP bands into the CP bands. Okay, so this is all about. Okay, so this was just a start that time. Okay, some of the results are not these things, and we also verified the electrically small concept here by using the McLean and Chu these things limits. Correct. And later on these things we also developed some different antenna. Okay, so I'm not going into detail, but these are the some of the structure, interesting structure, but all the structures are derived from the previous one. Okay, the ENG concepts and compensating the 90-degree from the backside. Okay, so this is one of the work actually into 2020 we published these things, and later on, yes, this is one of the work actually a similar one. Okay, so here also we introduced coupled ring resonators to have the similar kind of idea. Okay, so I think I should not explain those things because I already explained the earlier one in a detail. So this is almost same. So you may find it out from my website and this thing. So this is all about, and recently, because as I told you, one of our area is CPDRA. So we contributed a lot, and one of the invited book from the Arctic House is soon going to publish. Okay, and it will be available for purchase from the next month onwards. So if you want to see this book, please have a look on this book. Okay, this circularly polarized dilated resonator antenna, written with my PhD student Rajkishore and Rakesh on Arctic House. Okay, so thank you so much, and I will be very happy if you interact with me, and if you have any issue, we may discuss. Okay.